It's time for the ladies. It's the Mares Hurdle. Tuesday, still day one of the Cheltenham Festival. And this, for me, looks like it could be a very, very good renewal. We've obviously got Lossie Mouthhead in the market. She's been there right since the start of the season, yet to be seen. Jamie's already mentioned in an earlier video that, you know, it wouldn't be Unwilly-esque to send her straight there. What's going to happen with her price? I don't really know. There's not really anything in behind that's making massive waves. There's lots of talk going on, though, about horses in behind, right? So Gala Marceau, they talk about a race where they're going to run her, then go for the mares. That's firmly on the cards. Astro Diamond, the same. Mares Hurdle's firmly on the cards. Love Envoi, there's nowhere else for her to go. Firmly on the cards. You Wear It Well, firmly on the cards. Would have run at Sandown tomorrow if it wasn't bogged off. Lucia, the owner of her, has come out and said she's going to run in the Betfair Exchange. He said he's toying with the Champion Hurdle or a Mares Hurdle, but she could well be coming here. You can see me sharing the screen. I've had a couple of quid on her. West Balboa, they're messing about with her trip, aren't they? But she's an Aintree mare, so we'll just leave her alone. We've talked about Echoes of Rain when we talked about the Champion Hurdle. She's a bit too free and keen for this. I've backed her too many years on the spin for this. This looks like a better race, I think, nowadays. Marie's Rock, though, they've talked about her now, this being the race. They don't think they got a truly run race last year. Ran fairly well in that Real Kill recently. So we're getting that far down. You probably could dip a little bit further down as well and say there's plenty that could have a chance. So I think it's going to be a big field. The non-runner money back options I've talked about, where they do give you a third, like 3 places, a fifth of the odds. A race like this, I don't really think you want to be betting it each way on that type of market. If you're going to take it, you need to get the big prices about it. But I also think because the field's going to be pretty big, you're probably better to stick with some win darts in here. So you'll see there, I've played a little bit on Lucia. I've played a little bit on Marie's Rock. I'm quite happy to go to war with those two at the time being. I might get Lossie Mouth into multiples, but Paul, have I done something wrong? Should I have got stuck into one of these? Is there an absolute good thing in the Mares Hurdle?
Look, I really like Gala Marceau, and I have done since she ran over in France towards the end of last season, over 2.5. I thought she improved quite considerably for that step up in trip. And you know, with Lossie Mouth having not raced at 3-1, and the very real possibility that Jane mentioned on a previous video that she goes there just like Kavega did, you know, for a seasonal debut. This isn't a renewal anything like any of those that Kavega had. That was in the time when there wasn't the big mares program. We didn't have that big population of mares racing. You know, this race is getting better and better season on season. I don't think Lossie Mouth can get away with winning this race on seasonal debut. Now, she may come out and run somewhere, of course. So, you know, who knows? But we also have the second out. She looks like a real speed horse to me. You know, if she's going to travel through races the way she does, is she still going to be hitting the line at 2.5 miles? And I just have a real question mark around that. I love her. I think she's a great horse. I think there has to be a temptation to run her in the Champion Hurdle this year, given the Champion Hurdle is going to cut right up. And, you know, I could see her placing in both races, weirdly. That's kind of how I feel about her at the moment. Yeah. I don't think she's a price that you could back her at. What's Gala Marceau, around the 5s mark now?
So she's 7-1 top price standout at Bet365. You can get 5-1 non-runner money back. Like I say, it's 3 places, fifth of the odds.
Well, you're saying not an each way bet. 7-1's a no-brainer on her as an each way bet, I'd say.
Feels like it, yeah.
You know, the only doubt for me would be if Lossie Mouth could do what she does over 2.5 that she did over 2. Yeah. Without that, I'd have Gala Marceau as the clear best for me. Love Envoi, clearly you've got to respect her. She's won the Mares Novice in the past. She was only beaten by Honeysuckle last year. Bit of an offish seasonal debut, but she had a small injury at the start of the season. She was let back in. She probably needed the race. Better since. So, you know, you've got to give her a real chance. It would be really hard to see her out of the places. Echoes in Rain, if she could settle. She was 4th last year when she tried to pull a race away as usual, far too keen. If they can get her to settle, she can run a better race. But she's an in-running type horse for me. I want to see what she's doing for the first couple of furlongs. So I couldn't back her anti-post. Magical Zoe is probably the forgotten horse She reversed some form at Punchestown, didn't she? Was it Punchestown or Aintree? I can't remember now. Thinking about it, it's either Punchestown or Aintree. She reversed all that form. She finished second in the Mares Novice. She's 20-1, something like that. She might be a bit of an each way shout. I actually think she's a decent mare, and I think she could well improve for 2.5. So, as you say, it's a very, very competitive race this time. Probably the most competitive Mares Hurdle we've had. But I'd side with Garland Mosso.
Nice. Jamie, your floor has been left perfectly to you on this one, isn't it? I did mention the horse's name because I ran down the whole list of it. You've been pretty sweet on one right bang from the start of the season. Paul's touched on some concerns of Lossiemouth. We talk about the juveniles the next season. Everyone always just assumes that they stay. I'm not so convinced myself. Also, with the fact of her being a juvenile stepping up, right? I know you get lots of like horses that will go and run in a 5-year-old year. They don't need to rush her and get her into a mare's chase now. She's got probably 5-6 years ahead of her if they want her to have it, where she could keep going for these types of races. But the one of Clasutton that you were keen on right from the start, plenty of people have maybe, I mean, they haven't necessarily followed you in, but I think they followed you in. You know who wins the mare's hurdle, didn't you, Jamie? You're quite sweet on
Ashrow Diamond, yeah. I think she's a monster. I really do. She's built like a chaser, and they were obviously toying with the mare's chase, and I think she's a future mare's chase winner without a question of that. This race all depends. Last year, Dave, obviously we were mad. I was mad about Marie's Rock and Brandy Love and all them.
Yeah.
Like you could see Brandy Love coming back into the race because unless she bombs out at Naas on Sunday. This race depends on how much pace is in the race, to be honest with you. And you wear a web going quick enough for the likes of a Marie's Rock. Like if we're tipping Bob Ollinger in a previous video to win a to be placed in a champion hurdle, you'd have to give Marie's Rock a chance. But Marie's Rock needs pace. Mm-hmm. There was no pace last year, obviously, in the mares. If there's no pace, it brings Love Envoy back into it because of the second to a fantastic mare in Honeysuckle. But if there's pace, this is going to suit the likes of Ashrow Diamond, Garland Marceau, and Marie's Rock. I wouldn't be touching Lossiemouth first time out or whatever it runs in the mare's hurdle. As Paul said, it's too deep to go first time out here, in our opinion. And I think she might run in the champion hurdle. Garland Marceau, obviously the same exactly what Paul said. I was very impressed in all time. And I think last year, the last couple of furlongs or something, she was one of the quickest of all, and she was actually quicker than Lossiemouth up the straight apparently in the time. So the way she finished, and because Lossiemouth was gone, I think Lossiemouth's a 2-miler, and I'd be very worried about her in her 5-year-old campaign getting 2.5 miles. Or Garland Marceau has proven it in all time. But I think the faster the pace, the better Ashrow Diamond will settle it. And I think the way she won there, was it the Ferry House race last year when there was pace? She absolutely romped on. And I think she's a great bet. And to be honest, we'll come back to the 50-50 question: is that Marie's Rock, is she finished? Or would she be good in a fast run mare's hurdle? That's up to you to decide. 25-1. I won't put you off. But that way, chill, but at the moment, I'm Ashrow Diamond. Yeah.
Nice. I also feel, right, if we're not doing a naps for day one, I feel like if we were doing a naps for day one, Ashrow Diamond would probably end up being your nap as well. Would I be wrong to say that?
No, you would be wrong because the nap is in the last one.
Oh, well, lovely. Right. So I think we can wrap up the mares there. It's a fantastic race. There are plenty of you that bet season out, season in, so you know the rules of this sort of stuff. Plenty of you that are probably new to this as well. So as much as you want to have a look for some value in there, there are a handful of horses you can make a bit of a case for. There's going to be some informative races coming up towards the time. Like Paul says, not everyone will play this way, but it's an in-running type of race this year. Jamie's touched on different pace angles, depends on how horses are going to finish. But please, please, please don't be scared to throw a few darts in here. If you can't make your mind up between a Lucia, a Marie's Rock, a Love Envoy, Garland Marceau, because Lossiemouth is taking up so much of this market, you can definitely afford to bet 2 or even 3 in this race if you fancy having a little bit of a go. So just follow me in. Marie's Lucia. Like, Lucia can't do it, but if it comes up real quick ground and somehow she sluices up in a Betfair hurdle, she's going to get beaten a Betfair hurdle, isn't she? Because the ground's so bad, so she's never going to get that on with you one. But That's enough talk about that. Anyway, it's a fine looking race. We don't have to make money on every single one, but I'm pretty sure we will.
Dave, even if you got first 5, right, in this, right,
Easily.
I'll even 100 with you that she won't be in the first 5.
What, Lucia?
Because she's rubbish. Go on, yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd want to take even money first 5 unless I knew that it was like a road on Tuesday, thanks. And if Lossy Mouth's in there, no, thank you. Because she'll ruin it. Because Lucia will go with like a Lossy Mouth, and then all of a sudden we'll realise, hang on a minute, I'm not actually this quick, and just pull up, wouldn't she? It's good. It's definitely gonna be a good race. There are times to get stuck into races, isn't there? Especially when the non-runner no bet comes in. But unfortunately, I sound really rude, but the girls' race often is like this. We could talk about it now. We'll talk about it on the day. We might still have the same opinions, but you could get a different result each time it's run. We'll wrap up the Mares Hurdle there unless anybody's got anything else.
Nope.